Welcome, Exodus chapters 19 and 20 tonight. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for being here in person, and thank you for watching. If you're watching online on bradflack.com/Exodus or on YouTube. If you're not already, go to bradflack.com/Exodus, and I've got maps, pictures, artifacts, all sorts of cool stuff on there. It's pretty cool. Mike's been on there. He knows. All right. So we are on chapters 19 and 20, which puts us halfway through Exodus already. Can you believe that? It seems like we were in Genesis forever. Genesis is a big book, and tonight we are going to be halfway through Exodus already. Because of Christmas break and spring break and Easter and whatever, it's going to finish. We're going to finish through the whole rest of the spring school semester. To finish through the last 20 chapters of Exodus. And there's some pretty cool stuff in there. I have some extracurricular kind of outside of the Bible, more stuff to look at. We're going to be talking about the tent of God and some other cool stuff as we get into the second half of Exodus. A lot of people don't pay attention to the second half of Exodus. They kind of get to tonight's lesson and then kind of stop. But there's really cool stuff if you'll just keep going a little bit. So that's where we're going to go when we come back from Christmas break next week. If you get a chance, join us. We're having a testimony night, and that's where we come, and we're going to have it outside here and have fire. I brought some wood, and we're going to have a fire.
We start inviting. We're going to list this something like to do an invite. You might have to do an invite.
You can do an invite. Yeah, that'd be great.
Facebook invite.
Yeah, that'd be great. And we're going to do testimony night, and it's where was I? How did God find me, or how did I find God? But He found you. And where am I now because of that? So that's the kind of the emphasis of testimony night. And you don't have to go all the way back to, well, when I was born, a small child in Roswell, New Mexico. You can just say, hey, I did a testimony earlier this year when we did the last one back in, I don't know, May or something. And here's what God's doing with me now over the past 6 months. You don't have to go all the way to the beginning. But I'd love for you to join us. You're welcome to come too. And so that's next week, and then we have Christmas break and all that kind of stuff. In quick review, we have the beginning part of Exodus where the new Pharaoh comes to power, and he does not remember the great things that Joseph, who's a son of Abraham, did for the nation of Egypt. He forgot about those things. He didn't remember them. And we finished Genesis with Joseph kind of being like, Joseph. And here we go, first chapter of Exodus, I think it's verse 7. It says, there's a new Pharaoh came to power who didn't remember Joseph. Basically, I don't care who that cat was. I don't know who he was, what he did. I don't really care. And he actually saw the Jews, the Israelites, the Hebrews, which there is a pattern, by the way, for that. They're Hebrews from Abraham until Exodus. And then they are Israelites from Exodus until exile. And then from exile to now, they're Jews. The same people. It's just kind of breaking up their historical background or where they are in their process as a people. Okay? So we have them in Egypt, and they were there for 430 years. We don't know exactly when that trial of being under slavery started, but it wasn't the whole 430 years because they were doing very well in Egypt. We knew that, and so they were doing very well. And God's like, man, these guys they're not in the promised land. And I told Abraham they're going to go to the promised land, and they're just having a good old time over here in Egypt. And they've even forgot me. They're not even worshiping me. They're worshiping these other gods of the Egypt. So I'm going to make things uncomfortable for them so that when I send my guy in to pull them out, they're going to say, yes, please let us get out of here. But I have to make things uncomfortable before they'll be willing to go when it's time to leave. Because if they're discomfortable, then they're comfortable. Okay? So then we have Moses, and he talks to the people, and they make the bricks without the clay. I mean, without the hay and the straw. So go find it yourselves, and blah blah. So we go through all this, and then we see Moses at God's command striking down with the plagues, and that was a shot across the bow of each of the different gods of Egypt. And then basically they got to the point where they got to the Passover, and they killed a innocent lamb, and the blood of that lamb protected the people in that house. And death passed over. And at that point, the Egyptians weren't just like, okay, fine, get out. They were like, get out of here. Get away from us. And then Pharaoh, hard-hearted as he was, decided, maybe I don't want to let him go, because that's going to be egg on my face if I let all these people. It said 600,000 men on foot. So it's probably between 1 and 3 million people total. So here I am letting 1 to 3 million people walk out of my kingdom who were slaves. That's not going to look good for me as the ruler of Egypt. So I'm going to go chase them now. And then we have the parting of the sea. They make it through, and then the waves crash and whatever. And now we've been wandering through this desert a little bit. And again, the Israelites are saying, it would have been better if you just left us there. I can't believe that you are bringing us out to the desert. At least we had food back there. Yeah, we were getting bashed and beaten, and we were enslaved, and we were having to do manual labor, and we were whatever. But at least we had food in our tummies. And he's like, Moses is getting frustrated with them. Okay, so
you know how foolish Pharaoh was? When Pharaoh was so angry to send his entire army, because that's what the Brooklyn Papyrus gets into.
Yeah.
There was no army left to defend Egypt.
No, then Egypt became subject.
Egypt fell to slavery.
Mm-hmm.
He was so stupid. He was so angry at heart. He sent his entire army. No one left behind but a little home guard. And they were eventually taken over by the Persians.
That's right.
And Bible don't get into that story, but the Brooklyn Papyrus gets into it. It's just interesting how he got so angry.
Yeah.
Did not care about Egypt. Or he wouldn't have sent his entire army to get
and
he probably didn't plan on that, though.
He didn't plan on that. And furthermore, we don't see that in our narrative, because God was shielding the Israelites because they were out wandering in the desert. Mm-hmm. And so they come in and they take over Egypt, and they're out here wandering in the desert. Yeah. So they're insulated from that. They got their own problems. They're not worried about that. Mm-hmm. And then if you don't remember bradflight.com, there's no space here. It's all one big word, bradflight.com/Exodus. But if you'll remember, we have 4 promises of the Exodus. Do you remember what the 4 promises of the Exodus? Okay. So number 1, I'm going to set you free from slavery. We're going to break those chains. We're going to set you free. Okay. Number 2.
Number 2 is I'm going to release the mindset that you have, so you no longer think you're a slave.
A poverty mindset. If you've been institutionalized, how can I go into the free world when all I know is to get up when they tell me to get up, and eat when they tell me to eat, and go into my cell when it's time to go into my cell? How can I go and be free and make decisions for my life? I have an institutionalized mindset. I can't make my own decisions. They programmed me. How can I be a free person when I've been a slave for this time? How can I defend myself? How can I do anything?
It applies to people that are born in a poverty mindset,
yep.
living off the government.
Right.
And it's generation after generation.
Correct.
After generation.
Same thing. All right, number 3.
Well, God was going to have the strong arm of the right hand. And
that's right.
Take the power, and you're going to take them and release them and free them and take care of them, which all leads to the 4th one. But this now is just the strength and power of these that's come up before in the Bible.
That's right. So he says the strong right arm. In Pharaoh, on the tombs, on the hieroglyphs, on the you can see the reliefs that Pharaoh has a strong right arm, and that's to show that he's flexing. Okay. So what we see God say to Moses is, tell the people that I'm going to come with a strong right arm and do some mighty acts, and I'm going to whip up on Pharaoh. So basically God was saying, Pharaoh acts like he's big, I am big. Pharaoh acts like he's strong, I am strong. That's what number 3 is showing, that he is the powerful one. And number 4 is,
he's going to take you.
That's right.
Not only am I going to release you from slavery and do the mindset and be the strength and take care of you, but I am going to take you as part of my family.
That's right.
It's like a marriage thing. I'm not just going to free you and say, okay, you guys go do what you can. I will be there for you.
Take them and take you, okay, if you want to make it personal. And so the I'm going to take you is the same terminology that we say, would you marry me? It's I'm going to take you. I'm going to protect you. I'm going to provide for you. I'm going to love you. I'm going to encourage you, okay? That's what he's saying here in this fourth promise. So, we are out of slavery, okay? So, as far as we're concerned, check. We're no longer slaves. Slave mindset, number 2. Well, I think we're getting closer and closer here, but they have been free. They've seen so many miracles, and yet they're still like, oh, I'm tired of eating this magic bread that shows up every day. I'm tired of eating this magic bird that shows up every night. We're thirsty, and Moses goes, crack, and water comes out of the rock. And they're like, I guess we'll drink this water. Like, kind of spoiled, rotten brats, But, so we're not through with that yet. God doing mighty acts, he's doing mighty acts all the time. He is showing himself. Okay? Now, how they're responding to it, that's layer after layer after layer. They got to break through that. Okay? And then we haven't done this one yet. Okay? So they have been marching now for a couple of months. Okay, we talked 3 or 4 weeks ago that they had crossed over the Red Sea and that they were at the bitter water. And that was about 45 days after they left Egypt. So I think today, and it says in the text, I can't remember exactly, but I think we're at 3 months. 3 months from leaving from slavery. And we're now at the foot of the mountain of Sinai. Okay? Now, if you'll remember, you can go on to bradflight.com/Exodus. There's pictures of the mountains there. But there is a mountain that's like this, that kind of has a peak, and then it comes down on a shoulder, and then it kind of has these 3 little bubbles. So this is what we are calling, and there's video, I posted videos. They went and interviewed people there, and they were like, so what do you call that mountain right there? And they were like, oh, you mean Moses Mountain? In Arabic, they're saying this. Oh, that's Moses Mountain. Okay? So this one we're calling Mount Sinai. And this one we're calling Mount Horeb. You'll see Mount Horeb listed as well. We're really talking about one giant mountain with kind of one side or the other. It's still the same place. Okay? And you can see pictures of that on the website. I've pinned it on Google Maps. You can go find it, everything. Okay? So when Moses was called with the burning bush, back in chapter 3 or 4, he was taking care of the sheep down here in the desert. Okay, there's the flock of sheep down here. And he saw the burning bush on the mountain and said, I see a fire up there, but that fire's not going out. Because you would think that if I lit a piece of paper on fire, it'd burn the paper and then the fire would go out. But that bush is not going out. Let me go see what that is, guys. Just watch the sheep. I'll be back in a minute. And he went up there and he met with God. And God said, Moses, go get the people and bring them back here to worship on this mountain. So this whole time, the people of Israel are walking around like, where are we going? It's hot. I'm tired. Where are we walking to? But Moses knows where he's going. He is bringing them back to the place that God said, bring them back here. Right? So here we are. We're in chapter 19 now. And let's see what is happening with Israel, the nation of Israel, at Mount Sinai. I'm reading from the Modern English Version as usual. If you have your own Bible app or a different Bible, read along. It's great color commentary. It's slightly different, but it's going to be the same basic content, okay? In the 3rd month, okay, there it is right there. In the 3rd month, after the children of Israel had gone forth out of the land of Egypt, on the same day when they came into the wilderness of Sinai, which is near Mount Sinai, right? Moses Mountain. When they set out from Rephidim, they came to the wilderness of Sinai and camped in the wilderness. Israel camped there before the mountain. So, where originally Moses had seen the burning bush, This is where the tents, the camping, this is where they're hanging out right now. And they're looking at the mountain. Okay? Moses, look at this. Moses went up to God. Where do you think he went? Mount Sinai. He's right back to where he's first met with God. Moses went up to God. And the Lord, if you look, that Lord is all capitals there. That's Yahweh, or Jehovah, some people call it. I say it Yahweh. We could also say Lord. And Yahweh called to him from the mountain, saying, "Thus you shall say to the house of Jacob, and tell the children of Israel, you have seen what I did to the Egyptians," right? "And how I lifted you up on eagle's wings and brought you to myself." So that sounds like some take them situation. "Now, therefore, if you will faithfully obey my voice and keep my covenant, then you shall be my special possession out of all the nations, for all the earth is mine. And you will be to me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation." Now, let's stop right there. What is a priest?
That's the getting everybody in the church up to God, or basically introducing them to it.
Yeah, so the priest is helping people interact with God. It's helping people interact with God. So what does he say right there? He's talking to the entire nation of Israel, and he tells them that you will be to me a kingdom, all of you, a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. These are the words which you shall speak to the children of Israel. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm not wearing the little, white collar thing. I don't have any fancy robes. I don't feel like a priest. And if you've ever seen me act or the way I talk or some of my thoughts, I definitely wouldn't look like a priest. But here we see God saying, I want all of the nation of Israel to be priests, so that you are going to be, go back up here to verse 5. He says, "You shall be my special possession out of all the nations." And out of all the nations, you're going to be the priests. So Israel was designed to be the priest that interact and introduce God to all the other nations on the face of the planet. If you were somebody special, like for example, you're married to him, do you want him going out every night to the club dancing and talking to other women? No. You want to keep him at home and keep him safe from temptation, from harm, and you want to be with him, right? So the point of this is, if God was saying, I want you to be just special to me, he would have left them in the desert, or taken them up into a mountain range, or gone deep, dark into a jungle. But that's not what he did. He put them at the crossroads of the known world. The promised land from Genesis chapter 12, which is 8:38 plus 19, so what is that? 57 chapters ago, God said to Abraham, you're going to be the possessor of this land of Israel. 57 chapters ago. And here we are now. He's saying, not only are you going to be possessors of that land, I don't want you to withdraw from the rest of the world, withdraw from society, and go and just close your doors and just be Israelites with Israelites only. I am calling on you to be the priests introducing and interacting with the rest of the world, so that they will come to know me, Yahweh, Jehovah God. And he put them at the crossroads. Right here, we got a map. What is this, Mike? Africa. What is this, Daphne? Chris, what's this? Asia. Where's Israel? Right here. It is at the crossroads of the three known continents at the time when this was being told to them.
Do you know why Israel was so coveted back then? Because it was considered, or what we call an isthmus. You know what an isthmus is? An isthmus is a land bridge.
Land bridge.
So before you could get to other countries, you had to go through Israel.
Mm-hmm.
So everything was based on trade routes.
Yep.
Because that's how you survive, is trade routes.
That's right.
Well, Israel was prime real estate, man. It's an isthmus.
That's right. Because over here is desert. You don't want to walk through the desert, right? So to come here, to go down, you've got to come over here through Israel. If you're here and you need to go up to there, you can try to take boats or you can walk through Israel. Okay? So God didn't say, I'm going to make you my special people and we're going to go into the heart of the jungle of Africa and the Congo and hide you away from everybody. He goes, that's not your purpose. Your purpose is in Exodus chapter 19, verse 6. You will be a kingdom of priests. So guess what? You're going right here in the middle of everything. That's what he called them. All right. So let's see what he says. Verse 7. So Moses came and called for the elders of the people. Remember, he met with the elders back in like chapter 6 or so. And they saw him change the stick into a snake. And it said they believed and started worshiping God. Remember that? So these are the same elders. So Moses came and called for the elders of the people and laid before them all the words which the Lord commanded him. And then all the people answered together and said, all that the Lord has spoken, we will do. So they're saying, we do. What does that sound like?
Marriage.
We say this? We do. So you're starting to get some imagery here? They marched from slavery, from a dark place, to a place of hope to interact with their new God. That's like a bride walking down the aisle to the unknown to marry her husband. She may know him a little bit, but she's going to really get to know him, and he's going to really get to know her in that marriage covenant relationship. Okay? We do. That's what they responded. And Moses brought back the words of the people to the Lord. Now, God heard them say that, but Moses is the one going back and forth. So he says, I'm back. And by the way, you probably heard this, but they said we do. You know. Verse 9, the Lord said to Moses, indeed, I am going to come to you in a thick cloud, so that the people may hear when I speak with you and always believe in you. Then Moses told the words of the people to the Lord. So he's going to come in a thick cloud. Have we seen him in any other instance be a thick cloud? Has he ever been a cloud? How were they walking through the desert? At nighttime it was fire, and during the daytime it was a pillar of smoke or cloud. So he's saying, you're going to know it's me. I'm not going to look like something else. I'm going to look exactly like what I've been for you since I took you out of here. I'm going to be that cloud up on the mountain. You're going to know because I've been leading you for 3 months now. Daytime is a cloud or smoke. Nighttime is a fire tornado, which would be pretty cool to see. And so now I'm sitting on top of the mountain. You're going to know it's me. Okay? Verse 10. The Lord said to Moses, go to the people and sanctify them today and tomorrow and have them wash their clothes. Now, they've been walking for 3 months in the desert. They're probably a little stinky. They probably got some armpit stains in their clothes. Maybe got some, whatever. He said, go get clean. What is this sounding like? If you had an old white t-shirt and you wore it to work outside and you were sweaty all the time, and then you said, you know what, this thing is really disgusting. I can throw it away or I can clean it up. And I can make it presentable again, right? Make it presentable. And so we see in a marriage ceremony that the bride normally will wear white. because she's showing that I have cleaned myself up to make myself presentable to you. Okay? Is anybody seeing this? Okay. Verse 11. And be ready for the third day, for on the third day, Yahweh will come down in the sight of all the people on Mount Sinai. So he's going to come down onto the top of the mountain. You're going to know it's me because I've been to this cloud before. And you shall set boundaries for the people all around, saying, hey, take heed to yourselves so that you not go up on the mountain or touch its border. Whoever touches the mountain will surely be put to death. So they basically said, there's going to be a little security fence here because I don't want you touching the mountain because God's on the mountain, and if you touch it, not going to end well. So get up to the edge, but don't touch it. Okay. To the nation, to the people of Israel. Whoever touches the mountain will surely be put to death. Verse 13. No hand will touch him, God, but he shall surely be. The person who touches it. I'm sorry. I got ahead of myself. No hand will touch him, but he shall surely be stoned or shot through. So what he's saying is, if this person touches the mountain, that's like they're trying to touch God. And so you don't put your hands on them, because then you're touching the person who touched God. Instead, from a distance, throw stones until they die. Okay? No hand will touch him, but he shall surely be stoned or shot through with an arrow. So that's firing squad, old school edition. Come up to the mountain. Whether it be beast or man. So if it's the sheep, if it's the dog, if it's the kid's gerbil, whatever, touches the mountain, it's done. He shall not live. When the trumpet sounds a long blast, they shall come up to the mountain. So that's the all clear signal. All right, now the people who are supposed to approach the mountain begin approaching the mountain. It's safe. So Moses went down from the mountain to the people. Now, hold on. I don't know what the timeline is here. But go back down here to verse 3. What does it say in the first part of verse 3 there?
Moses went up to God.
Whoa. Moses what?
Went.
Where did he go? Up to God. And where's God? On the mountain. All right. Then he comes back down and talks to the people. And then we see here in So verse 7, Moses is talking to the elders. Where are the elders? They're down here. And then, verse 9, the Lord said to Moses, indeed, so where is he talking to him? Up here. Poor Moses. He's going up and down this mountain. He's going to be good shape. Okay. So verse 14. So Moses went down from the mountain. So he's back down here with the people again. I mean, this guy is going to be in good shape. Right? Moses went down from the mountain to the people, and they sanctified the people, and they washed their clothes, and he said to the people, be ready for the third day. Do not go near your wives. Keep your sexual appetites clean. So on the third day, in the morning, there was thunder and lightning and a thick cloud on the mountain. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen a storm on a mountain before. If you haven't, go to the website. I've got a picture of someone's artist rendering, but I wouldn't want to be on the mountain, let alone maybe near it at the bottom with a thick cloud and lots of lightning and thunder happening. Okay? That doesn't sound like a safe place to be. A thick cloud on the mountain and the sound of exceedingly loud trumpet. So basically like doo, 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 or whatever the sound was, but so loud they were like, oh man, this thing is loud. I think it was a shofar.
That's the signal to come up.
That's the signal to come up. That's right. So then, what does verse 17 say? Then Moses brought the people out of the camp to meet with God. So there was the sound, and then Moses is bringing them. And they stood at the foot of the mountain. Now Mount Sinai was completely covered in smoke because the Lord had descended upon it in fire, and the smoke ascended like the smoke of a furnace, and the whole mountain shook violently. So we have God with fire and smoke. So he is that fire tornado on the mountain, and it's shaking, like having an earthquake. So if you'll remember, when we did the crossing the Red Sea back in chapter 10 or whatever it was, yeah, there's sand that is melted where they were crossing the Red Sea. The sand is melted together. And the only way you have that is you have extreme heat from fire. Well, why is there a fire on a beach that's that hot that melts the sand and turns it into glass? The fire of God was going before them. So we see the fire of God is on top of the mountain. And if you go to the website, bradflight.com/Exodus, if you're watching, you're probably already there. There are pictures of the mountain. And there's videos of them going up onto Mount Sinai. And it's a different color than Mount Horeb. This is black. This is like a tan color. Black, tan. And you can actually pick up the rocks. The guys are there on video. And you can pick up the rocks. Underneath, regular color tan. On top, black, burnt. Why? Well, right here. We just read it. Mount Sinai was completely covered in smoke because the Lord had descended upon it in fire, and the smoke ascended like the smoke of a furnace, and the whole mountain shook violently. When the sound of the trumpet grew louder and louder, Moses spoke, and God answered him with a voice. So this sound of the shofar is getting louder and louder and louder, and then Moses, I guess he's having to yell, like, all right, God, we're here. And it says, whew. God spoke to him. God interacted with Moses one-on-one. Isn't that amazing? Mm-hmm. The Lord came down on Mount Sinai on the top of the mountain, and the Lord, Yahweh, called Moses up to the top of the mountain, and he went up. Then Yahweh said to Moses, what does he tell him?
Go down and warn the people.
So he's up here. Where's he going? Back down to the bottom. There's some comedy here. You don't think God has a sense of humor? I mean, this guy is now like the fourth trip on the mountain.
Well, you remember how he restored Moses. Remember how he looked? He had a glow about him. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure, he got a ton of energy from the...
Yeah.
Being in the presence of God. I don't think you're all tired and sluggish.
No, but still, I mean, you're a human body. I mean...
No, I know what you're saying. But I just think he had some special energy, too.
He probably did.
Moses had to go down to stop them so they wouldn't get overexcited and go up and then start hurting themselves and everything else.
Yeah.
They can only go.
Yeah. So verse 21, the Lord said to Moses, go down and warn the people, lest they force their way to the Lord to look. They're pressing to see Moses, I see him climbing up there. Wow, lightning, there's fire. Good night. What's happening? We got to get closer. No, go down there. Warn them. Don't get them any closer. Okay? Many of them will perish. Let the priests also, which come near to the Lord, sanctify themselves, lest the Lord break through against them. So apparently there was a set-aside group that are going to be the priests to the people of Israel, which are the priests to the nations.
Well, he wanted everybody to be priests. He wanted the whole group.
That's right.
All of us, instead of being just going to a Bible study, they want us to learn to be the priest to go with you and help the world.
That's right. That's exactly right. Verse 23, Moses said to the Lord, the people cannot come up to the Mount Sinai, for you warned us, saying, set boundaries around the mountain and sanctify it. So he's saying, we're good. I got a fence down there, man, or whatever it was. Like, we're good. We're good, God. We got it. Verse 24, then the Lord said to him, go get down and come up, you and Aaron with you. So, where's he going? Back down. Go get Aaron. Come back up. I mean.
I think this is odd to you because we exercise and you don't. So this is why this is sticking out with you.
Well, I mean, I go mountain climbing. I go backpacking and hiking and stuff.
You know how exerting it can be.
Yeah, I just went to Pinellas Falls this past weekend. But it's still, I mean, you're hiking up a mountain.
You just take humor because you hope God's messing with Moses.
I do. That's really what it is. I hope he's like, watch this. Oh, by the way, Moses, go. Yeah, I could have told you to tell them that at that time, but now that you're up here, go back down and tell them this now. Like, it's more of the comedic thing to me. I find it hilarious. I don't know, you guys. So, verse 24, the Lord said, go get down, come up, you and Aaron, remember his brother, who was the mouthpiece for Moses. But do not let the priest and the people force their way through to come up to the Lord, lest he break through against them. Okay? So he's saying protect themselves. Don't let them come and touch the mountain. So Moses went down to the people and spoke to them. All right. That's chapter 19. Are you getting an idea of what's happening here? He's setting up this kind of ceremony. He's up here. They're down here. Moses is running back and forth all day long on the mountain, carrying messages back and forth. They've washed themselves. They're nice and clean and pretty, and they don't smell terribly bad. And God is putting on a show to both warn them, he keeps warning them, and I think to excite them. That he hasn't done this for them. He killed some animals, some livestock, and he made some frogs, and all that through the plagues through Moses, and he parted the Red Sea. But now it's just there's no one else to do anything. Like he's not protecting them from the Egyptian army, and so the Egyptian army is a distraction. It's just the people of Israel and God. There's no one else there. There's no one else to entertain or to be distracted by. It's just them. Right here. That's it. So that's chapter 19. Let's go now to chapter 20. And I want you to read this with fresh eyes. And the way that we're going to do this, because chapter 20, most all of you have read this in some form or fashion. Okay? What I want you to do is I want you to pretend like you've never read this before. And knowing now what's happening here, we do. I'm going to take you, right? Now, let's go into chapter 20.
Yeah, that's the importance of I don't want you to go up because of what's happening now.
That's right. So he says in chapter 20, verse 1, God spoke all these words, saying, I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. So you shall have no other gods except for me. Does this sound like God saying, I am God, I am the only one that... No. What's he asking for here?
Are we here over on the Ten Commandments?
Yes. Yeah.
There's a reason why they came down in the order that they did.
Sure.
God knew what they were going to be doing, so he gave the first one. They started getting answers, and what did they do?
That's right.
Collecting. I don't want to jump ahead.
Yeah,
but there is an order.
A few chapters from now. Yeah, there's an order, and the first 4 are between God and them, and the last 6 are between them and their neighbor.
Yes.
Okay.
First 4 is how to love God. 4 to 10, or 5 to 10 is how to love man.
Right.
Get along with man.
What did Jesus say was the greatest commandment?
Love your neighbor as
Nope.
yourself.
Nope.
Yeah.
The greatest commandment is to love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, all your mind. And the second is like it, love your neighbor as yourself. Those are the 2 things. And when you break down the 10 Commandments, which we're about to read the 10 Commandments, that's what the 2 parts are. The first 4 is here, and the last 6 are here. Yeah. Jesus was reiterating in 2 sentences the 10 Commandments. Okay? So again, don't get caught up in these are the 10 Commandments. That's a title that we've put on there. Moses didn't write, here's the 10 Commandments now.
Well, they wouldn't call that anyway.
And the word shall there, okay, you're the Hebrew guy, but when you look at this in the original Hebrew, it doesn't say, you shall not. What it actually says in Hebrew, it says, have other gods Not. And then it says, make for yourself graven images. Not. So it's basically, it's not saying you shall, like that's the way it's been translated to make it seem like a big commandment. But he's really saying, remember, number 4, to take you, right? And they're here and they're here. They're set up for this big ceremony. And he's saying, guys, I'm the one that brought you out. I'm the one that did the mighty acts. Can you just have no other gods except for me? That's all I'm asking. Don't have any other gods. Don't cheat on me.
Especially everything you just done.
When a husband and a wife go to the front, Jesus said, I promise to be loyal to you, sickness and health, unless I don't feel like it. No one's vows are like that. It says, you're it. That's it. You're the one. And you're the one for me, and I'm the one for you. Right? So he's saying, the first one here in verse 2 of chapter 20. I'm the Lord your God who brought you up out of the land. I'm telling you how you know me, our relationship so far, and have no other gods before me. That seems like a fair ask. Said, don't make for yourself any graven idol or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or it is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water below the earth. You shall not bow down to them or serve them, for I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers on the children to the 3rd and 4th generation of them who hate me, and showing loving kindness to thousands of them who love me and keep my commandments. And by the way, that's a bad translation. It says, actually the original text, it says, and showing loving kindness to 1,000th generation of them who love me and keep my commandments. But what he's saying here is, he's saying, I'm jealous. I'm a jealous God. Don't create something that you're going to worship. Don't create this water bottle and worship the water in here. Like, I created the water, man. Why are you worshiping? No. Don't make that image of the lion head with the horse body and you're mixing up the stuff that I created. Just worship me.
But isn't it crazy how men we were born to worship?
We are born to worship.
We were put here to worship. A lot of people are misguided. They don't know what to worship.
Right.
That's why you go to these like Centennial Island. What's that island that's still native? They killed the National Geographic team that landed.
Yeah, it's over in the Indian Ocean.
Yeah, but even then, they've never heard the gospel, but it's in them to worship something.
Sure.
So God knows that. God put it in our hearts to
right.
worship.
Well, think about when you're at the altar. I don't want you to be with somebody else. I want you to be with me.
Yeah.
Hold me. Keep me.
Reminds me of the bride of Christ.
That's right. That's where this imagery begins, Chris. Great. That's exactly where it comes from. Right here.
Yeah.
Verse 7. You shall not, or you can say it less sounding, less ominous. You say, don't take the name of the Lord your God in vain, for the Lord will not hold guiltless anyone who takes his name in vain. Don't use my name for your own purposes. Don't say, oh, well, we're going to go and start this war in the name of God. We're going to go kill these thousands of people in the name of God.
How many people have lost their lives? Look at the Crusades. There's 9 Crusades. Thousands in the name of God.
In the name of God.
They murdered in the name of God. The Spanish Inquisition.
That is a direct affront to this.
You think that's the same as taking God's name in vain?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, me too.
I think so. Verse 8. Remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. 6 days you shall labor, do all your work, but on the 7th day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. On it you shall not do any work, you or your son or your daughter, or your male servant or your female servant, or your livestock or your sojourner, who's within your gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea and all that is in them, and rested on the 7th day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and made it holy. So he's like, I want you to think about this for a second. If you work 7 days a week, and you work 10, 12-hour days. Are you getting to spend any time with your spouse? No. So he says, listen, go work 6 days. But on that 7th day, that's mine. I got you for 1 day a week, minimum. This doesn't sound to me like ominous commandments with some sort of do this and this will happen, or don't do this and this bad thing is going to happen. I don't see a contractual clause here. He's not saying 10 commandments are, this is how you earn my love. This is how you earn my mercy. This is how you earn my grace. He is saying, I love you. And this is all I'm asking from you. Does that make sense? You tracking? Okay. Verse 12, honor your father and your mother. Now he's looking at everyone around us, right? Honor your father and your mother, that your days may be long in the land the Lord your God is giving you. So it's not, this one actually has sort of a cause and effect to it.
What verse do you read in your Bible?
Modern English version. Honor your father and your mother, that your days may be long in the land the Lord your God is giving you. So this has a cause and effect. Honor your father and mother, you're going to have a long life.
Right.
I didn't say that. He said that.
He wants you to honor because you're going to be here a long time, so that you'll love them. They won't be causing problems.
Right. Yeah. Verse 13. Don't murder somebody. Now the definition of murder there is the same word used for Cain killing Abel. It is not the same word as protect your family or fight in a battle. That's the word kill, which is slightly different, with different connotation. Murder is I have a selfish, preconceived idea that I'm going to take that person's life because of a slight or whatever they've done to me. Okay? Premeditated. Killing is I have to do this to stop this person to protect other people. Okay? That's different. And that's distinct in the Bible. But he's saying here in verse 13, don't murder. What does God say about human life in that one verse? Is human life expendable? No.
They seem like it though.
Human life is not expendable. And does he put a boundary on there? Well, unless that human life has been conceived out of wedlock or as a result of a sexual attack or incest. No. Does he say, well, this person's really old and there's a lot of resources being utilized to keep them alive? So that doesn't apply here in verse 13. Does anybody see that in verse 13? What does verse 13 say here?
You shall not murder.
These are not Brad's words. This is God's words. What does he think about the sanctity of life? He values it.
Yeah, it's sacred.
That's right.
Well, he made us.
He made us. That's right.
Creation.
That's right. Verse 14. Don't commit adultery. He gave Adam and Eve marriage and sex in chapter 3 of Genesis. And he is saying here, quit perverting it. If you're married, keep it at home. If you're not married, keep it at home. He doesn't say until the temptation's too strong, you just have to fall into temptation and fall into sin. Or she's really good looking, or he's got washboard abs. That's not what it says. Don't commit adultery. Adultery, the definition, is sexual relations outside of the marriage bed. I don't know how else to be clear of that. I'm not saying it. God said it. Okay? It's important enough for him that we follow that he puts this in his marriage vows between him and the nation of Israel. I think that's pretty important. Don't steal.
Well, that one's outdated.
It's not stealing, I'm looting, right? No, I think this one, though, is referring to Adam and Eve when they were put in the garden. Their job was to work the garden and tend the animals and the plants. Remember that? Stealing says, I don't want to work the ground, but I want to eat the peppers. Right? Do your peppers magically show up? No. You got to work it for those to happen. Stealing says, I want the peppers. I don't want to till the ground. I don't want to plant them. I don't want to water them. I don't want to deal with the weeds. I don't want to deal with the bugs. I just want the peppers. And I'm going to take them because that's what I want. That goes against God's plan. His plan was for us to work for those things. Okay? I am not the one saying this. I'm reading verse 15. Is anybody else reading verse 15? Okay. Don't bear false witness against your neighbor. Now, this one is tricky because we don't talk like that anymore. But bearing witness to your neighbor is, well, I saw Mike, and he definitely put his trash can out there on time, but they didn't empty the trash can, so I'm not sure how that happened. And Mike comes over, hey, they didn't empty my trash can. Yeah, I know, I saw that. Like, I'm your witness, man, I saw that. But if I say, hey, Scott, man, Mike never even put his trash can out there. And then you say, hey, they didn't take my trash can. I'm like, he didn't even put it out there in the beginning. He never did it. Right? That's bearing false witness, which is a fancy way of saying lying.
You know what else? Just to go to words, because I had to do the catechism for this one.
Right.
Well, actually, all of them. But false witness back in this day also, there was a lot of land disputes going on.
Correct.
A lot of court hearings were going on. They were bringing people in to lie for them. So it goes towards that too. You bring false witness, and you make it lies. You could actually go into modern times as stealing somebody's credit.
Sure.
You know, or look how many there's innocent people in prison.
Sure.
Bearing false witness.
Sure.
You know, women do that to their ex-husbands, and vice versa.
Or the people who said, oh, this famous person or this politician or whoever, you know, made unwanted sexual advances on me and whatever.
There's a lot of people in jail because of that.
Okay. Don't bear false witness. And then 17, you shall not covet your neighbor's house, shall not covet your neighbor's wife, or his manservant, or his maidservant, or his ox, or his donkey, or anything else that's your neighbor. If it belongs to him, it's his. If it belongs to her, it's hers. You don't have to have what they have. This, for me, when I see this, is God's way of saying, don't find your contentment in what you see others have. As a matter of fact, find your contentment in me. Remember this whole thing? Find your contentment in your wife. Find your contentment in your husband. Don't worry about what they're doing over there. I don't care if they got a Lamborghini in the driveway. That's not my life. That's not my house. This is where we are. Right? Well, if you want to give me a Lamborghini, I'll take it. That's fine. Verse 18. All the people witnessed the thunder and the lightning and the sound of the trumpet and the mountain smoking. And when the people saw it, they trembled and stood at a distance. And they said to Moses, you speak to us and we will listen. But do not let God speak to us lest we die. So they're finally starting to get maybe a modicum of respect for who God is.
Fear of God.
A little fear of God. Whoa, this...
I mean, part of the Red Sea did
I want to really talk negatively about the Israelites, but they're us. We're them. How many times does God do stuff for us and we just, yeah, I know God. You sent some amazing extra money my way so I could pay this bill, but I really don't have that, that 18 rounds of golf that I wanted to play this week. Like, we're whiny babies too, They said to Moses, "You speak to us, and we will listen, but do not let God speak to us, lest we die." Now, I want you to think back. Go back to, I think, chapter 6 of Exodus. They literally said, "We don't want to listen to you. You made our lives harder." Do you remember that? Now here we are 14 chapters later, I think it is, and they're saying, "Whatever you say. You're the one talking to God. We're not going up there to that fire and smoke and lightning. You go do that. We'll listen to whatever. That's fine. We'll stay down here."
They might be teachable.
They might be willing to be teachable a little bit here. Moses said to the people, verse 20, "Do not fear, for God has come to test you, so that the fear of him may be before you, so that you do not sin." That's what we were just talking about. He's basically saying, yeah, God is scaring you straight. He's scaring you straight, okay? And 21, the people stood at a distance away as Moses drew near to the thick darkness where God was. So they're standing back and they're watching, and they can see him climbing up the mountain, and then he kind of disappears into that dark cloud. I can almost see them going like, "Good luck." "Hope you do okay up there, buddy." I'm not climbing up there into the cloud, into the lightning, into the thunder. Now, again, Moses is climbing up to where God was. Moses has already made that trip a bunch of times. He don't care. He's like, yeah, whatever, guys say. Climbing a mountain again. Okay, this is like trip 4 or trip 5 for him at this point. He's
got a good path cleared out.
Yeah, he knows the trail. He knows the rock. Oh, there's the rock. Oh, yeah. Actually, that rock was here. I must have knocked it over or whatever. He knows the path. Verse 22. So we are going now from what I call the vows. Okay, I don't refer to them as the 10 Commandments anymore. When I'm reading or thinking about it, I think about the vows between God and the people of Israel and us, because we've been adopted into the nation of Israel through the blood of Jesus. Amen. So, verse 22, we're going to shift gears a little bit, but there's some clarifications. Here's some more things that I want you to understand. Then Lord Yahweh said to Moses, "Thus you shall say to the children of Israel, you yourselves have seen that I have spoken to you from heaven. And you shall not make gods of silver alongside me, or make gods of gold for yourselves. You shall make an altar of earth for me, and on it you shall sacrifice your burnt offerings and your peace offerings, your sheep and your oxen." Now, what is an altar of earth? Well, it can be a lot of things. It could be a pile of sand, it could be a pile of dirt, it could be a pile of rocks, and that's normally what we see is it's a pile of rocks. Okay? And if you actually go to bradfleck.com/Exodus, there is a huge altar at the bottom of Sinai where they have found rocks, and they have Jewish, Israelite paintings on the side of them. It's pretty cool stuff. Go there and look at it, okay? It says, "You shall make an altar of earth for me, and on it you shall sacrifice your burnt offerings, your peace offerings, your sheep, your oxen, and every place where I cause my name to be honored. I will come to you and bless you. If you will make me an altar of stone, you shall not build it of cut stones." I don't want them in square blocks. I want them the way I've got them sitting out there. "For if you use your tool on it, you will have polluted it. And you shall not go up by steps to my altar, so that your nakedness will not be exposed on it." So he was saying, because they're wearing, the either short or long tunics, burqas, whatever kind of dress thing, robes. And he's saying, don't have steps that when you step up, that your nakedness is going to be exposed to those stones. So you have to have it where it's either a ramp or small steps. That's what it says. And he says, if you make it out of stone, don't make it with cut stones. Don't make it into nice, neat blocks that stack up neatly. You use the stones the way I've got them sitting out there. You figure out how to make it work with what I've given you. And so when you see down here that video, you'll see them. It's just these big boulders that they just stacked them up.
He wants it to all be natural, the power of God as He's had it. It's not fake.
That's right.
You can go to Walmart and buy it and bring it over here.
That's right. That's right. So what I see here is I see a couple of things. I see a wedding ceremony.
Yeah.
I see God saying, I'm taking you to be my people. And if I can ask for some commitment here, these are the top 10 things that I'm asking from you. 4 of them are between us, and the other 6 are actually amongst yourselves. But those things, in doing that, will still bring glory to me, God. Which I'm not God, but just to give an example. And I see, which you already alluded to, Jesus said, well, two more things. One is, Jesus said, the greatest commandment is love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and mind, or might, some translations. That's what the first 4 is about. Don't be thinking about somebody else. Don't be in church, but thinking about this over here. Be in church, be with me. Okay? And then the second great commandment is like that. Love your neighbor as yourself. I wouldn't want someone to steal. I shouldn't steal. I wouldn't want someone to sleep with my wife. I shouldn't sleep with someone else's wife. I don't want someone to lie about me. I shouldn't lie about somebody else. So Jesus wrapped up all of this in a nice bow by saying those 2 commandments. Love your Lord your God, all your heart, soul, and mind. Love your neighbor as yourself. And then Chris hinted at this, that when Christ is the bridegroom and the church, his believers, are the bride of Christ, we are supposed to be prepared, waiting for him to come get us. And there's a video, and I'll post a link to it. You have to buy it on Amazon, but I'll post a link to it if you're interested. And it talks about Israeli, Jordan, Syrian, Canaanite wedding ceremonial stuff, and how the Bible is using that imagery. And basically what happens is, and we've talked about this before in other weeks, so I'll draw it again here for you, since it's now going to be on video. So hopefully, if you're interested in that sort of stuff, you can remember it better, or at least refer back to the video. So, oops.
I'm coaching a guy, he's 23 years old in Damascus, Syria.
Okay.
He's going to the University of Damascus.
Nice.
So I do online training all over the world. I mean, I tell you, of course, he's big into Quran.
Sure.
But he respects the fact that, mine's the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
So we're sharing passages, so it's a breakthrough. Because he really respects me and the fact of what he's trying to do. But I love the fact because he's teaching me about his culture.
Nice.
I can't use the protein that they don't have what we have over here.
Sure.
So it's been a learning experience for me too. So it's been really cool.
That's awesome.
Think about that, about the wedding.
That's awesome. So what would happen is the guy would make a house, and this, I'll just call this Dad. Dad would have a place here, someplace, and then he'd have his children, and he would find a woman, and he'd say, "Hey, there she is over there. She's gorgeous. Isn't she wonderful?" And so he would go over there and say, "I'm going to take you. Will you come with me?" And she'll say, "Oh yes, you're the most handsome boy I've ever seen in my entire life." So they're in love. So then he says, "All right, you get ready. I'm going to go to my father's house, and I'm going to prepare a place for us. Prepare a place for you. And you don't know when, but whenever I'm done, I'm coming back to get you, to bring you home. So be ready." So then he would add on here. So this is son number 1. So if it takes him 2 months, 6 months, 2 years. All of a sudden, oh my, I didn't expect you. Wow, I had no idea you were coming. You didn't say that. I said, be ready. As soon as I got done building this, I'm going to come get you. Okay? And then son number 2, he's got a girl over here. Same thing. He comes over here. They fall in love. He goes back. He says, hey, Dad, I'm going to build a place over here. Son number 2. And so then he comes to go get her, and then they show up. Well, what ends up happening is you end up with kind of this compound of sorts. This is grandson number 1 or whatever. Like you end up with this kind of compound. And so then the people across the street, as they're filling out stuff, they end up having these little. So the pathway for your village ends up being this kind of roundabout. There's no straight streets. It's just going around everybody's compounds, basically, as you slowly fill it out, because this is nephew, this is uncle, whatever. You get my point? So what he's saying is, you don't know when the bridegroom is going to come and pick up the bride. If Jesus is the bridegroom, he's coming back for us. He says, I go to my Father's house. In my Father's house there are many rooms. I go to prepare a place for you. This is exactly what he's talking about. In my Father's house there are many rooms. I go to prepare a place for you. We don't know when he's coming back. But he said he was coming back. Be ready. Be watching. Okay? So what I see here is I see Jesus taking this marriage ceremony in Exodus 19 and 20 and taking it to the next level. Saying, not only am I asking you to do these things for me and do these things amongst yourselves, I'm doing everything for you on the cross that you couldn't do over here. I'm finishing that work. And then I need you to wait for me. I'm coming back. Okay, so I'll post a link on the video on bradflight.com/Exodus. Questions, comments, complaints?
But there's no restrooms downstairs. They're all up on the roof.
The restrooms are on the roof, so they can let the wind blow. Ventilation. Yeah, you're talking about Eglon. Yeah, we'll talk about that another day. But anyway, I'm glad you joined. I'm glad you're here. I'm excited to have Testimony Week next week. If you want to join us, please join us. You can go invite a friend, and we'll see you next time for Exodus chapter 21. Have a good one.